One of the things the Course in Miracles reminds us that on one level we feel very incomplete. Something in us is missing. And what happens in this world is we're usually unaware of that, but that seeps out, especially when it comes to relationships. And oftentimes, we seek other people in our life, usually the ones that are like lovers, to kind of satisfy that sense of being incomplete in ourselves. We feel that something's missing, specifically love is missing within us. So we meet somebody in this world and, suddenly they seem to like us. And that makes us feel good because on one level, we don't like ourselves. There's an underlying sense of self-loathing that we have because of a mistaken belief that we've left our source. Usually that's out of our awareness, but it still seeps out here in the everyday world. And so what happens is when we get involved in a relationship with somebody, especially new relationships, it really feels psychologically good, ego good, because someone cares about me. And that maybe means I'm good after all. And so this kind of high, this kind of passion we have with new relationships, with romance, with passion, feels so good that we invariably mistaken that experience as love, when ultimately that experience is an ego high. So, what do we do about that? Well, one, we should enjoy that. But we need to be honest that what makes me feel good right now is this person thinking that I'm worthy, and not mistakenly call that love. Because if I am going to be with somebody, I want to join with that person, not to get from them the love that I think I need. I want to join with that person to share a common purpose in life, that we're all struggling and trying to ultimately get back to who we really are on a whole nother level, versus thinking this person's job is to make me happy, make me feel good about myself, and so on. And if they do for a while, I'll call it love. And keep in mind, they're doing the same thing. So the approach then is not to not get involved in relationships, but to be honest within ourselves that a good part of what we're doing here is satisfying our ego need. It's a challenging thing to do, and we won't do it perfectly. Just think of all the work we do to get somebody in our life to make us feel good about ourselves. We often aren't even honest with this person, because if we think this person has the love that we want, we won't tell them something that we think they might judge us for, because they're going to leave, and that love that they have for us will leave with it. So everybody plays this underlying game of trying to anticipate what the other persons want so that it can be that person for them. We've probably all heard after a couple of years or maybe a year of being married to somebody, someone will remark, gee, this isn't the person I married. Well, that's probably true, because once somebody has you via marriage contract perspective, then they feel a little more safe about showing who they are. So I am an advocate that it is important to be honest with people about who you are. Let them have their reaction to who you are. Because now you'll be in this relationship not because of some game that you're playing or manipulation or guilt, but you are actually in this relationship and they are in that relationship with you because they're choosing to be, not because they have a misconceived idea of who you are based on the portrait you presented to them that you thought they wanted to see. Unfortunately, that's what the world calls love. And really, it's ultimately a game of, tick and tack, whereby I'm going to do this, you're going to do that, all in the goal of satisfying our ego dynamic that I'm going to get something from you to satisfy myself. And it's small wonder people are a little disillusioned while the relationship doesn't end up working. Well, it's because love wasn't there in the first place. Now, it's hard to describe what love is. In fact, I can't. I won't. But I can give you some words that would point to what love must be. And that simply is that you can be who you are without me having a need that you be different. If I'm going to commit to you, the commitment that I'm going to make to myself, or is a commitment that I'm going to make to myself, not that I'm not going to, always remember your birthday or not sleep with somebody else, but rather it's going to commitment to myself that I'm going to be as loving and kind to you as I can be. These are the kind of communications you want to have in your relationship. I'm not advocating one way or another for an open relationship or monogamy. Each couple needs to have that discussion. But ultimately, we should be aware that what I do or don't do has no effect on whether or not I love you. That's how God would love us, and that's how we want to love each other. Now, I get that's not easy to do. But what we can do, at least in the beginning of all this, is to be aware all this is going on and not pretend that somehow this is some fairy tale romance whereby love is here and we're happily ever after when all of it was just a facade. The world's a messy place. Relationships are messy because there's lack of honesty and everybody's trying to put out the fires of their ego pain. But the way you want to approach it is to say, yeah, this is what's going on, and the world does suck and it's messy, and I'm not always going to be honest with you. But at least there is a perspective that I'm afraid, and if you're afraid and I'm afraid, we can at least join on that, and that will bring us closer together. It's hard to be honest. Nobody wants to be judged, and the reason they don't want to be judged is because of that underlying sense that they're not complete in the first place. If you can scratch the surface and really begin to get to the whole philosophical concept that on one level you are whole, that you are complete, then you can begin to have those relationships and join someone to share a common purpose versus going to them to get something. Now, we won't do that perfectly, but wanting to is the first step. And at least if we're aware and we get involved and we are operating with our ego dynamic, just knowing that we're doing that is a big step forward. So, romance, passion, enjoy them. Just be honest with yourself about what's really going on. So this way, if the relationship doesn't work in form, in the way that you expected, you won't be completely disillusioned. But don't call a spade a heart when it's really not that. You want to be honest about your fear, their fear, and everybody's afraid. Come together, enjoy the passion, understand that everybody's here trying to satisfy their ego need, but don't mistakenly call that love. That is the way you chip away at the marble of difficult relationships. But it all starts with a willingness to say, I'm going to work on myself here, and I'm going to try my best to get myself out of the way, to let you be who you are, and love you regardless. Now, it doesn't mean you necessarily be in a relationship with everybody. If you see something in somebody that doesn't really connect, there's no chemistry, well, certainly you don't get involved with that person. But there'll be no judgment that the person is less because of that. And for those people you do get involved with in the way that the world would call a marriage or a more deep relationship, those relationships too will still be a little complicated. But if both parties are trying their best to say, I want to be here with this person without need, then that will be a formula to make it a healthy relationship where love then can really begin to enter that relationship in a very intimate way, because now you will feel safe that this person is with you because they're choosing to be, not because of the manipulation and guilt and secrecy that you've presented. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave a comment, let me know. And if you feel this was helpful insight, please hit the like button or subscribe. Thank you very much.